The Hidden Lie Behind Perfect, 1969. Camaros, Why Many Six-Figure Restorations Are Fake. In 2014, collector Brad Kyle dropped $395,000 on a supposedly holy grail 1969 Camaro ZL1. But forensic expert Jerry McNeish uncovered a devastating truth. It was a patched-together bad rebody worth barely $70,000. Every January, at Barrett-Jackson bidders fight over $150,000 perfect Camaros. Yet here is the dirty secret of the restoration industry. A builder will spend 300 hours and $120,000 chasing laser-straight gaps, only to realize the reproduction panels will not fit. Why? Because the original reference car is slowly bending from 50 years of heavy V8 torques. The builders obsess over CNC machined perfection, but the 1969 Fisher Body Manual explicitly listed door gap flushness at a wildly forgiving plus or minus 1/16 of an inch. If you are buying perfect gaps today, you are not buying a numbers-matching legend. You are buying a multi-thousand-dollar lie. Let's uncover the structural fraud hiding in your garage. Picture the moment every high-end restorer dreads. A builder installs a brand-new reproduction quarter panel that looks flawless straight out of the crate. But once it is clamped onto the car, the gaps drift, the body lines refuse to align, and hours of adjusting hinges and shims fix nothing. Eventually, the brutal truth becomes clear. Why does a brand-new high-tech steel panel fail to fit? The problem lies at its source. When aftermarket giants used 3D lasers to create new molds, they did not scan the perfection of 1969 blueprints. They pointed their scanners at surviving donor cars that had been twisting for decades under the massive torque of V8 engines. The pristine metal you just unboxed is actually a clone of 50 years of metal fatigue. So you might ask, why not just use the original factory stamping dies to produce perfect parts? The answer lies in a ruthless executive decision at GM in the late 1980s, a massive corporate purge that threw the true DNA of the 1969 Camaro permanently into the scrapyard incinerators. Today's six-figure restorations with mirror finish paint and laser-straight gaps are historical fiction. If you want to understand why reproduction panels never fit, look at the brutal, greasy reality of 1969. At the Norwood plant, Fisher Body and Chevrolet slammed together 57 cars per hour, less than 60 seconds per vehicle. But the true mechanical chaos lived at Van Nuys. There, F-body Camaros ran down the exact same assembly line as massive Impalas and Caprices. This jarring dimensional variance forced exhausted workers to physically cram manual shims into Camaro door hinges just to get them to latch before the chassis rolled to the next station. Perfection was impossible. There were only frantic stopgaps. On legendary Copo builds, workers used heavy industrial crayon to scrawl 427 inside the fender extensions. This wasn't a mark of prestige. It was a desperate warning to stop the next worker from mindlessly drilling holes for SS badges out of sheer habit. Modern restorers mistakenly replicate this using delicate chalk, completely misunderstanding the panicked industrial environment. Even the factory tooling was a compromised nightmare. During final die tryouts for the upcoming 1970 models, new quarter panels severely wrinkled and split in the presses. This catastrophic failure forced GM to extend 1969 Camaro production deep into November, pushing already worn 69 dies to their absolute limits. So, why can't we just find the master molds today? Because of CEO Roger B. Smith. Under his 1980s tenure, GM engaged in a radical restructuring dubbed the biggest catastrophe in American industrial history. On August 26, 1987, mourned locally as Black Wednesday, Norwood produced its final Camaro. Men with checkbooks still whisper that GM has the 1969 tooling locked in a secret Michigan warehouse. It is a lie. To cut storage costs, the massive 20-ton stamping dies were dragged to scrap auctions and melted down. With the physical DNA incinerated, the aftermarket stepped in to sell a legal illusion. That GM restoration sticker hides a metallurgical nightmare, fighting your welds alongside a 290-horsepower factory lie engineered specifically to cheat the SCCA. With the factory DNA incinerated, the aftermarket stepped in to sell you a legal illusion. But the GM restoration sticker you paid extra for is not just hiding warped steel. It is hiding a 290-horsepower lie engineered specifically to cheat the system. The most effective marketing trick in the restoration industry is a simple piece of paper, the GM Restoration Parts sticker. To the buyer, this emblem promises OEM mechanical specifications and factory-level fitment. In reality, the GM Restoration Parts program is primarily a trademark licensing agreement. Manufacturers pay a royalty fee to General Motors for the legal right to print the Chevrolet logo on their packaging. This agreement absolutely does not necessitate that the manufacturer utilize original Fisher body datum points or adhere to 1969-era metallurgical standards. Often a licensed Taiwanese quarter panel is physically identical to the cheaper non-licensed panel sitting right next to it. The only difference is the sticker and the royalty tax you are paying. Even new old stock NOS is a forensic trap. A genuine GM replacement fender stamped in 1993 was struck using dies that had already survived tens of thousands of violent press cycles, resulting in softened character lines and compromised panel memory. New does not mean 1969. Even if builders possessed flawless blueprints, modern physics betrays them. The 1969 Camaro was born from 19-gauge low carbon steel. It was thick, approximately 1.06 millimeters, and highly malleable. Today's reproduction industry almost universally relies on thinner 20-gauge galvanized high-strength steel. When a factory press forces this steel into the complex curves of a 1969 speedline, the modern metal aggressively fights the die. Upon release, the steel elastically recovers a metallurgical phenomenon known as spring back. This microscopic rebellion ruins what engineers call the panel crown radius. If a restorer presses firmly on a 20-gauge reproduction sail panel, it often emits a hollow pop sound, undeniable evidence that the metal lacks the structural memory of the 19-gauge original. But the body is not the only illusion. The engine bay harbors a massive corporate deception. To dominate the SCCA Trans Am series and its strict 5.0-liter displacement limit, Chevrolet's Vince Piggins engineered the Z28 legendary DZ302 engine. Yet the factory officially rated it at a pathetic 290 horsepower. This was a blatant legal trick utilized for two reasons. First, for SCCA homologation. The 290 horsepower rating perfectly matched its arch-rival, the Ford Boss 302, creating an illusion of showroom parity. Second, it exploited a massive insurance loophole. By artificially measuring the power at a conservative 5,800 RPM rather than its true 7,000 RPM peak, Chevrolet ducked the crippling insurance surcharges aimed at high-performance muscle cars. Strap a stock DZ302 to a dyno today, and the truth screams out. It consistently reveals power outputs between 350 and 375 actual horsepower. When legendary mechanics like Smokey Yunick optimized them for the track, they achieved 465 horsepower at 7,200 RPM. Corvette chief engineer Zora Arkus Duntov bluntly described the 302 as an artificial engine built to meet an artificial class limit. When modern builders painstakingly reconstruct a DZ302 to hit that factory correct 290 horsepower spec, they are attempting to reach a specification that never actually existed. We know the metal is warped, and the 290 horsepower spec is a corporate lie. But the darkest secret of the 1969 Camaro is not the steel, it is how builders use reproduction bolts to commit identity fraud. It only takes a rivet gun to turn a $70,000 mistake into a $395,000 federal felony. Why does a restored 1969 Ford Mustang Mach 1 hold its body lines significantly better than a 1969 Camaro? The answer is buried in period engineering data. A 1969 road test for the Mustang explicitly lists its architecture as a fully unitized frame. The Camaro, however, relies on a compromised semi-unibody structure, clamping a separate front subframe to the body using just 4 rubber-bushed mounts. This design creates a massive movement budget. As the rubber degrades and the unibody fatigues the Camaro's subframe, physically shifts cascading geometric errors directly into the body panels. A unitized Mustang simply does not hinge in the middle, but structural geometry is only half the fraud. How do forensic experts like Jerry McNeish bust a $395,000 bad rebody? They do not look at the laser-straight paint, they look at the fasteners. High-end builders frequently bolt their engines together with pristine reproduction fasteners bearing the O headmark. Here is the fatal manufacturing reality: they miss General Motors' strictly reserved that O stamp for small block engines from 1969 to 1974. If an appraiser pops the hood of a supposedly holy grail big block ZL1 and sees those brand new O bolts, the car is instantly exposed as a catalog-built lie. This relentless chase for the factory, correct aesthetic pushes the industry into a dark legal reality. Under 18 U.S.C. Section 511, tampering with a vehicle identification number is a federal felony. Yet state-level loopholes in jurisdictions like Arizona and Kansas allow builders to temporarily remove the rosette-riveted VIN plate during sheet metal replacement. This legal gray area is the beating heart of the modern rebody market, and it allows a rusted-out shell's identity to be legally grafted onto a chassis built entirely from Taiwanese replacement steel. And this brings us to the ultimate terrifying reality of your 6-figure investment. The relentless pursuit of the factory-correct aesthetic has pushed the industry into a dark legal gray area. You spend years aligning modern galvanized Taiwanese steel that aggressively springs back against your welds. You bolt it to a fatigued 50-year-old subframe that sagged decades ago. You chase a mathematical perfection that the chaotic Norwood assembly line never actually achieved. But what is the ultimate terrifying reality of your 6-figure investment? Thanks to state-level loopholes allowing the temporary removal of rosette rivets, the only truly original part of your $150,000 numbers-matching Camaro might just be the VIN plate. You are not preserving a piece of automotive history. You are driving a legally sanctioned ghost.